Yeah, you've never heard a leftist complain about being deplatformed, thrown off a platform, and they say some
No.
pretty outrageous stuff. And again, I can be,
Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm not looking for a conservative platform. I just want to be able to say what I want to
Fairness.
say, and they can say whatever they want to say and let people choose. But when someone's getting bombarded with this as though it's truth, and this as though it's lies, it's not so fair. Now, Congressman, this is one of the things that I think the conservative right has actually done a terrible job with for far too long, because so many, this sort of conservative mantra was like, no, 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 it's free market. Well, it's not really free market, because, these same tech companies get all sorts of, liability protection, essentially insurance from the U.S. government. And once you take that, it ensures, or it's supposed to ensure, that, hey, you can't be censoring one side or the other, regardless of what you like, or regardless of if it's a little bit of a hot take. It's still sort of the First Amendment. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because, it's one of the interesting things that, so many on the right, I was one of the guys, I've been leading the charge on this for 4 years, because I saw it happening to me. I saw, I'd put out a particularly, I don't want to even say hot, but, again, my center for that may be, a little bit off compared to most. But, I didn't think it was that bad. And then, I look at my next 10 tweets and it's like, it's like they took 50% of my followers. And I know they're just screwing with the algorithm to try to hurt me. But, so many conservatives, have never even realized this is a big issue with our base, with our people, because they see it, whether you're religious, whether you're pro-life, if you're a Second Amendment account, God forbid you're a Second Amendment account on Instagram. I mean, you can pay for ads, you can do whatever you want. You're not going to grow your following. That stuff is happening in real time. And, again, I can't tell you what the algorithm says, but I do enough of this stuff and I pay enough attention that if you have a brain, you realize it's going on. And again, it feels like a dry run as they're knocking these sort of people who are conservative thought leaders off, pushing the leftists as hard as they possibly can, knocking the conservatives off to influence the outcome of the 2020 election. What can we do in Congress, right now about this? And obviously it's going to be harder not controlling the House, because the Democrats are more than happy to take, this sort of unfair advantage, that, again, social media, the big search engines, generally anything that comes out of Silicon Valley, there's not even a person saying, like, wait a minute, there may be a little bit of a problem here. They're just like, nothing to see here. It's fine because it's working for us politically.
No, you got to highlight it. You got to have hearings on it. It's tough to do when we're not in the majority. 2 summers ago, I got a call from Matt Gaetz. Y'all know Matt Gaetz, a good friend of ours.
I love Matt Gaetz.
Matt called me up, and all he said on the call, I answered the phone. He says, Jim, Twitter is shadow banning us. And my response was, what's shadow banning? He quickly explained it to me. Turns out Twitter was shadow banning Gaetz, Meadows, Nunes, Jordan. 435 members of the House, 100 in the Senate, 535. They're only shadow banning 4 conservative guys who were focused on exposing what was really going on in the Trump-Russia FBI investigation. Yeah. Jack Dorsey comes out and says it was not intentional. It was just a glitch in our algorithm. And I'm like,
the glitch only goes one way. That's the problem. Meaning, if you have one glitch one time, I understand. When you have 1,000 glitches 1,000 times and they all go one way, come on, guys. That's not how statistics work. That's not how probability works. And it turns out they were doing it.
I said to someone, I said, oh, what did you put in the algorithm? The names Gaetz, Meadows, Nunes, Jordan. Come on. Of course, it was targeted. Anyone can see that. So, yeah, we had a hearing. We had Adam Carolla and Shapiro come in. They were hilarious. We had another hearing when we were in control last Congress. We had another hearing where we had professors come in and talk about it. And I asked this one professor, we got into all this crazy stuff on campus, a safe space, free speech zones, all this baloney that goes on. They have these things called bias response teams, which are a bunch of tattletales, a bunch of people like Garcetti running around campus telling anyone who says anything politically correct, and you get in trouble and all that stuff. So I asked this one professor in this hearing, I said, Professor, on a college campus, in a safe space, could I say this sentence? This is true. You can go watch the hearing. I said, could I say this sentence? Donald Trump is president. And there was a little pause, and he looked at me, he goes, well, Congressman, it depends. And I interrupted him. I said, it's a fact. There's no it depends about it. He lives at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. He got 63 million votes. He won an electoral college landslide. He is, in point of fact, the president of the United States. It doesn't matter what you think or what you wanted to have happen. That is the truth. But that's how crazy it has gotten. So all we can do right now is really highlight it, talk about it, do what you're doing now, Don, just talk about this issue and show how absurd the left truly is, especially on college campuses where they all think like Garcetti and de Blasio.
Well, I mean, and let's talk about that, because again, it's not just from social media; it's also from the mainstream media. I mean, I wish that the FEC would look into, the media in general, because they are giving the Democrat Party literally billions in just free advertising, because anything Donald Trump does is wrong. I mean, you'll see he's been the most transparent, most open president. He's doing 2-hour press conferences, no question. Yeah. But they won't air, the 45 minutes where they're asking the real questions about the virus and he's giving a serious response. In the last hour where they're asking the asinine questions, literally, and they'll air the one time where he actually fights back and says, enough, this is, and that's the only part of the conference that Americans get to see. So, this week, or I guess today or yesterday, they're announcing the new Pulitzer Prize winners. Now, the last Pulitzer Prize winners won for a host of topics like Trump, Russia. I'm wondering, how can you have a mainstream media institution that awards themselves awards, but when they turn out they're 100% wrong a year or so later, there's no clawback. There's no taking back that award. I mean, how can these institutions continue to even exist? With the level of bias that they have, where it's really more entertainment than it is, reporting.
We will make America great again.